there was. And I think it was because actually what attracted me to this idea was the woman, Marie Madeleine, who I'm writing about, was her absence from the historical record, which is kind of not unusual when you're writing about women from that era. But so she was the only female leader of a resistance network during the Second World War. And as I was reading non-fiction accounts of the war, all of the names of the men who led resistance networks popped up again and again and again. But I'd only come across her name in one source. And it was the scarcity of the mentions that made my little weird part of my brain go, oh, hang on a second, why has she only been mentioned once? And so I went and bought her memoir, which was published in 1950, so I had to get it from like a secondhand bookshop overseas because I couldn't get it anywhere in Australia. And I started reading it and I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is honestly, and I don't say this lightly, the most extraordinary woman I have ever come across in my life. And I can't believe that nobody's written a novel about her, because she became the leader of a French resistance network at age 31. She led the largest resistance network in France, 3,000 people, most of whom were men, decades her senior military men. She folded herself in half and smuggled herself to Madrid in a mail bag that measured 4 feet by 2 feet. She was 5'7". She was in the mail bag for 10 hours, didn't eat or drink for the whole 10 hours in that mail bag, but she had to speak to the British, so she just kind of did it. She escaped from prison twice, one time by squeezing out of the bars on the window, and you can't even imagine doing these things, but because fighting for freedom for her kids, she was just a mum like me, had a couple of kids, was so important. She did all of these things. She gave birth to a baby whilst hiding in a brothel in Lyon because the Gestapo was sweeping the town of Lyon for her and they thought the only place they wouldn't look would be in the brothel. So here she is giving birth while the Gestapo are literally hunting her down. And then at the end of the war, Charles de Gaulle created this order called the Companions of the Liberation, and he awarded the people who he felt had contributed the most to France's freedom during the years of the Second World War. And there are 1,046 people on that list. 1,042 of them were men, only 6 of them were women, none of them were Marie Madeleine. 2 of her lieutenants, her subordinates, were on the list, but she wasn't. And I thought, oh my God, I have to write a book about this woman just to spite Charles de Gaulle, if nothing else. So that's kind of really where it came from. It really did kind of spark my mind, as you can tell by the way I'm talking about it.
Yeah, the first mention of Charles de Gaulle in the text is